Hi, this is Brian Icenhower, and welcome to part 5 of our Pivot series, where we're talking about how real estate agents can automate their real estate systems. In this Pivot series, we've talked about the need for real estate agents to pivot their business and modify it and adjust it for turns in the market. And most recently, we've received, we in 2020. During the spring and summer, we've encountered this coronavirus that has forced a lot of people into embracing technology, whether they liked it or not, right? And some of the keys to adapting to changes or turns in the market are, revolve around, how we adapt to those changing times. And, we talked about in the first 4 parts of this series. In part 1, we talked about how we need to embrace our sphere of influence and how, no matter what's going on in the real estate market, whether it's 9/11, the Great Recession of 2007 or 7 and 8 and 9, or the coronavirus, regardless, your SOI is going to still buy and sell real estate. They're going to still get divorced. They're still going to get married. They're going to get job transfers. They're going to have babies and need bigger homes. They're going to need to get in better school districts. They're going to need to move by their sick, grandmother. All of those things still happen. Life goes on regardless of the economy and the market, and people will find shelter to accommodate their own personal life changes. So, having an SOI database is like recession proofing your business, right? So making sure you stay in contact with it. And technology has helped us do that much more effectively, much more quickly, for a lot less money, right? And the first one of those is social media. In part 2, we talked about how we can embrace social media to help enhance our SOI and increase our business. In part 3 of our Pivot series, we talked about how to make quick marketing videos for real estate agents to use, be it social media, YouTube, email marketing, our website, et cetera, et cetera. In part 4 of our Pivot series, we discussed realtor video conferencing techniques and how we need to start using video conferencing in place of both in-person appointments and telephone calls, right? In particular, listing consultation, buyer consultations, or how we're proactively keeping our active buyers and sellers up to date through video conferencing every single week. To get them up to date on where they've been in the transaction and where we're heading. So we're doing weekly meetings with all our clients to really increase that level of customer service we provide, to also increase the likelihood of us getting business referred to us by them to their friends and family members down the road, right? So we're talking about those video conferencing techniques. Now, series number 5, our last part of the Pivot series, we're going to talk about how we automate all of these systems together so that we can get all this done, right? That's the biggest thing, is to know when we're doing these. And we talked a little bit about the automation, and I alluded to them in part 4, where we talked about your your pre-listing checklist, your listing to contract checklist, and your contract to close checklist. How we're going to make sure that we put video conferencing on a weekly basis and at different points throughout the transaction in there to ensure it happens. That's how we automate it. So we know as we're working through each client, through each transaction, we're going to not miss a step, and we're going to make sure it happens automatically, right? Now, whether you have that in an Excel spreadsheet or you have it as a notification in your CRM, that's totally up to you. But we automate it through checklists, right? We have a process, a system that ensures it gets done, because we know, especially when you produce at a high level, you're just not going to remember to do it every time. You're going to do what's comfortable instead, which is what you used to do. And the whole point of this is pivoting our business to do something new and different. So we want to force that through a system or a process, right? So the first thing I want to talk about is we're going to automate your sphere of influence, right? And your social media posting. Those are parts 1 and 2 of the Pivot series. So in order to do that, we need to automate that as well too. And we can, there's lots of different ways to automate that. We can do it through a series of, we have an annual database contact plan that we recommend you use. And that could be set as reminders or notifications in your CRM, so that as you come to different dates throughout the year, it tells you to do things. And that's fine too. I'm going to show you a little different way to do it. And I don't think this is necessarily better, but it's more visual, so you can see it better. And for those of you that like to have a visual big picture, sometimes using just an Excel spreadsheet will get that done. So I'm going to turn my screen around and show you this. I think you'll think it's quite interesting. But this is an example of 40 contacts that an agent is going to make here over the course of an entire year. And in this case, it was the year 2020, right? And you can see it's listed, an ICC client of ours, Beth Ann, actually made something like this, and she let me improve on it because I thought it was a really great visual. But you can see the in-person category. This is where you're going to actually see people in person, where you're going to make contacts to people online. You're going to make contacts in print, maybe mailers or flyers, through social networking with different groups that you're going to meet with, business development, maybe coaching people, helping others, calling your clients. You can see here, for example, she's going to call her past clients 15 times over the course of the year, 15 times a week. So she's going to call some of her past clients every single week, 15 times a week all the way through. And when she doesn't do it, she gets a red if she did nothing, yellow if she tried and comes close. You can see she got a 7, a 5, a 4, an 8, and a 2. So she did make some contacts, but she never hit her 15 times here. So she just got yellows. But if she did do what she was supposed to do, like client calls to past clients biannual, so she didn't do that. She made some calls, but didn't get all the numbers that she wanted to, except she got green here when she did 12 and green again here when she did 10. So she did pretty good. So those are, as long as we have a lot of greens, it's good. If she's got no color here whatsoever, just a 0, that means she wasn't supposed to do something, so it's a neutral. It's fine. She didn't have to do anything that week. And she's got her weeks listed throughout the whole year up here. You can expand and compress these as well, but this is every single week. She knows what she's supposed to do. She knows the numbers she's supposed to hit, and she colors those numbers afterwards to make sure that she gets it done. Same with education, things like that. So she's got her entire weekly task, all 40 contacts listed here, and she's tracking them to make sure she gets them done and sees how far she falls short. And she may have to go out as she moves out past these, like especially this column where she got all yellows, or this one she got all yellows and some reds. She may have to put up some big green numbers to make up for these, where she could go back and move these to green because she got ahead and made more contacts going forward in the weeks to come to get caught up, so that she makes her 40 contacts through all of these diversified communication channels to all of the people in her sphere of influence database over the course of 1 year. So this is kind of a neat way to do it. I mean, we've got a few different, again, most of our clients do work with different versions of CRMs where they have notifications, but even some of those like to see it like that because it holds them a little bit more accountable to see that they're doing everything rather than wait for a notification to come their way or log in and take a look at what their activities are each day. Sometimes CRMs don't give you the big annual picture that you can see to work at SOI effectively, right? So that's a neat way to do it that I thought would give you a good visual of how you could organize something like that, and Beth Ann did that. And the same goes true for Pivot Part 2, where we talk about social media posts. We need to be very diligent about our social media posting and interacting. So Beth Ann, she's got a source for that too down here at the bottom. She has like a social media campaign where she's doing posts and emails, and you can see she's got this divided up by months. Here's January, February, March, April, May, and so on for each month, where she actually has posts scheduled, and you can see she's got each week out here. Week 1, 2, 3, 4, and sometimes there's 5 weeks in a month where she's actually got social campaign where she's got emails going out on some of these and social media posts going up that need to happen each week throughout the year so that it's automated. She doesn't have to think. Each week she just looks in here, she knows what exact contact she's got to make, and then now she knows what social media posts she's got to put out there as well too each single week. And what's interesting is these don't take that long to make. You set them up 1 year, it maybe is going to take you a couple hours to put that together, and then every single year you're probably going to reuse it and maybe just make a few tweaks to it, so then it's much easier going forward. So it's not that hard, and it's very, very automated. It's very, very digital, very, very shareable on any Google Drive or Microsoft Drive with other people too for editing or for them to take a look at it. Very portable. Using those as a method to automate your SOI contact plans and your social media plans are very, very important, because I'll tell you right now, if we don't automate, what's going to end up happening is you're going to say, I need to do it. You're just not going to keep up with it. And then you're going to get stressed out because you keep forgetting, oh, I need to post that. Or man, I found 4 good things to post and I forgot one. When do I do it? So you're going to do them all at once, which isn't as effective as spreading them out over a period of time. So you're going to forget them and you're not going to think of new ones. But if we're always trying to layer those topics out over time, and you know that you've got it covered, you're up to speed, you're tracking it, you've done what you're supposed to today, and you're not going to forget what you have to do tomorrow, it helps you like live in the moment and helps you be a little bit more organized and a little bit more present and a little bit more calm, like a business person should be, because you know when everything's getting done. And you don't have to worry about it and try to remember it all the time. It makes you just feel more together. And a lot of real estate agents aren't. They're really good socially, but they're just a mess. They're a hot mess and they're disorganized. So if we automate our systems in some way, it doesn't have to be these ways. I realize Excel spreadsheets are a little bit clunky. I do. And I love CRMs, and I'm really familiar with a lot of them. So don't think that I'm just some old clunky guy that wants to show you spreadsheets. But I want to show you that most of you can do this for free without spending a nickel. Okay? When I sold real estate a long time ago, we didn't even have Excel spreadsheets. So we didn't do it this way. We used manila folders. So now we coach tons of teams that are using very high sophisticated CRMs. Some of them are expensive, some of them aren't. My point is you don't need them to be. If you've got a real expensive CRM and you're not doing what these people are doing with these spreadsheets, then we've got a problem, because your SOI is the most important system to run. It's 80% of business in North America is through people that an agent knows, and people that chose referred their friends to an agent. Okay, so all that referral business, either you know them or they know someone they referred to you. That's 80% of all business. Everything else, all these online leads and everything else from people you don't know, expired listings, FSBOs, they're all great. We teach them all, we coach them all, they're wonderful, but they only make up 20% of the business. So why aren't we going for where all the business is at with our prime system, is making sure we're staying in touch with our people first and foremost. That is always the highest producing agents in any area. You know it in your area too. So make sure you get those business coming to you, because if you're always having to chase down the business from people you don't know, you will burn out. Sooner or later, you will get tired of having to go out, hunt, and kill everything that you're going to eat. Sooner or later, you're going to want business coming to you. Come list me phone calls coming to you, because you're the person people go to. And that's what a good SOI automated system will do for you. Okay? So that's number 2. Now, the next thing I want to show you, I'm going to turn my screen around one more time, and I want to show you our lead follow-up plans. That's the second piece of our offense here. And this is, we call them inventory pipelines, okay? And again, an Excel spreadsheet, okay? And again, these are in CRMs as well, but I can teach you a little bit better if I show it to you in a visual sense on a spreadsheet. So I often teach through a spreadsheet and then have you set up your CRM accordingly. And that's what I'm going to do here. This was very, very crucial during the coronavirus shelter-in-place periods, because a lot of people could not do business. I mean, realtors could not practice or show property in certain parts of the country. And a lot of people didn't want to show property, or have people in their house. They didn't want to list their property till later. So we had to learn to pipeline business. And this is how we pipeline business, okay? So you can see these 3 tabs at the bottom. We have the listing inventory, the buyer inventory, and the pending inventory. The listing inventory, these are all our active listings we have right now. In the middle, we have listing agreements are signed, so they're basically a bird in the hand. They're just waiting to go active for whatever reason, maybe a stager or photography or something like that. And then listing leads. This is the important part down at the bottom. These are all people that we do not have an agreement signed with, but we know that want to sell their home in the near future, this year sometime. So these are the most important people we stay in contact with, that we nurture. Hopefully they're all set up on listing e-alert emails so they can be up to date when one of their neighbors' homes goes up for sale. They can see what it sells for. They can kind of compare it to their house, get a rough idea how their home is changing in value and in price over time, and you can call them about them to let them know about it and point it out to them. And you can start doing work for them by getting your contractors in there, getting your stager in there, getting photographers in there, so they can start becoming very, very indebted to you and your business. Very, very important for us. So that's why these are our most important leads to pipeline. So anything we generate, for example, during a shelter-in-place order in the coronavirus, they may be comfortable when this is all over. So we put them down here and we nurture them. We try to grow this, so that way when shelter-in-place is over, we've got tons of people that we know want to sell, and we can stay. And hopefully by then we've nurtured them, we've built rapport with them, and ultimately we're going to work with them to buy a home. right? And that's the idea of building. We always build those listing leads. These are the most important people you can contact. The only people that are more important to contact than your just general SOI members are active listing leads, right? Then I'm going to go to your buyer inventory pipeline next, okay? This is your buyer inventory pipeline. So these are all people that we have buyer exclusive agency agreements with signed already. Some people call them buyer listings. So they've agreed to work with us. We've told them we expect them to work with us, and they said, yes, we will work with you to find a home. And then down below, this is for a real estate team. So we've got lots of different buyers agents here. And it actually tallies up their numbers. And then down below, these are active buyer leads. This is the more important part here. These are people we know that want to buy a home sometime this year. Same thing as sellers. The most important people we could be talking to behind the listing side would be the buyer side, right? So these are people that we have set up on listing alert emails so that they are getting emails for listings that may fit their criteria that come up on the market. We're calling them regularly to make sure they see them, to make sure their mind's not changing, to see if we can show them anything, et cetera, trying to get them to a buyer consultation appointment, hopefully a virtual buyer consultation appointment, so that we explain to them our home buying process and get them to agree to our process so that we can agree to work and represent them to see homes over the course of their whole home buying process. So they don't just do what most agents do or what most people do. And I think this is really important. I want to stress this. If you do not get a buyer agency agreement signed, or at least have a buyer consultation with a buyer, they don't feel loyal to you. In fact, the default notion is they're just going to work with whatever agents finds them the home. So don't get upset if they work with somebody else because you showed them 3 homes. If you didn't have a buyer consultation where you laid out the plan for you to find them the home, how are they supposed to know? Most people think by default it's whoever shows me a home. That's who I'm, if you didn't find me a home, you showed me 3 of the wrong ones. This guy showed me the home on the first try. So what are you mad about? So, and that's true. I mean, that's the way I feel about it too. I mean, you got to have you need to, if you have an expectation, you need to tell it to them, which is why I think you need to have a buyer consultation appointment and tell them, I expect us to work together. And here it is in writing. That's a buyer agency agreement to really tell it to them, right? And that's, now we're going to work together. And I think that's being outright, and anything else is really being manipulated. If you don't expect them to work with you down the road, then how can you be upset when they don't, right? Okay, back to my screen. So now we're going to go here. These are active buyer leads. We want to stay in contact with them. We pipeline those through times like the coronavirus. And we did this in 2008. 2009 too. A lot of people couldn't buy because their credit was messed up, or their bank was closed, or they couldn't get a loan because it was, financing was terrible back then, but we knew they needed a house. So we pipelined them until things got better and the market started moving up again in 2009. So we pipelined a lot of buyers back then. And then of course we have your pending inventory pipeline. This one's, everything you got under contract, so we're tracking it to close. Most of you have one of these, so that's probably not too exciting for you. But this is how we automate our systems, because now what we've effectively done by using our sphere of influence annual contact plan and social media calendar, that's our lead generation plan. That's how we're going to stay in contact with our SOI to generate leads, right? We're going to stay first of mind and gain that mind share like we've talked about through your SOI in part 1 and social media in part 2, using a lot of video that we talked about in part 3, right, of this pivot course, to generate leads. And some we're going to pipeline later, so we're going to have to follow up with them by using our inventory pipelines so that we keep them there and we know to nurture them and stay on top of them, hopefully in a CRM too, to make life a little bit easier. And some of them we're going to go and actually start working with right now. And we're going to move them up to active listings and active buyers that are looking and under contract that we had a buyer consultation with. So all of a sudden we've got our offense in place, right? We're going to generate business through our SOI, and then once that lead is generated, we're going to nurture it and cultivate it until they become a client through our inventory pipelines. And that's really your whole offensive system. Those are Excel spreadsheets, so those are really easy to kind of recreate. You can watch this video a couple times yourself if you would like. You can always come to Icenhower Coaching and Consulting. That's what I recommend first and foremost. I mean, we do represent the majority of the top producing real estate agents, teams, luxury agents, and broker owners in North America for a reason. And we'll help you pick the best systems, the best CRM systems, where you can take some of those spreadsheets and turn them into full-blown lead generation systems instead. Or we can have you work with those spreadsheets, or we'll give you those as well too. Really important though that we actually get these systems automated. I know in the Pivot series we talked about a lot of cool things that you can do, and sometimes creating systems and automating them isn't the most fun, But I will tell you, of all the things we taught you in this course, it's the most important, because if you do it, I know you'll keep doing it, right? You've got the knowledge you've got from this, from watching these 5 courses and videos, which is cool, and it may motivate you to start doing it, which is also cool. But the trick is, will you keep doing it? Will you keep doing it? And that's where automating your systems makes sure you keep doing it. That's what separates the men from the boys in real estate. That's what the big successful teams are doing. They are automated and they use systems. And if there's anything that I want Icenhower Coaching and Consulting to be known for out there, and I think we already are, it's our systems and our insistence on the fact that our clients set them up and use them regularly. So I do hope that this pivot series helps you guys get an idea of how you're going to pivot and adjust your business into this new technology age. I don't think it's that hard. I think it's actually pretty fun, and I think that you're gonna generate a lot more business in a lot less time with a lot less money because you do these things. So get to work. Again, feel free to reach out to us at eisenhowercoaching.com. Best of luck.